That's the smart pick here, but Toby could very well have a big upset in mind.
All right, brother, we'll see you in just one best of three. KK, bottom of your screen, definitely the favorite. Toby at the top. Japan, Germany, number 44 versus 100 in our ladder ranking system. Our final world finalists will be decided in this best of three. Let's freaking go, Juicy.
Yeah, this is hype. I mean, I do think KK will probably win. He is pulling out the RG first game, and looks like Toby's gonna pull out RG as well. I gotta be rooting for the underdog here, though, right? Like, it'd be amazing to see kind of two relatively unvetted players make it to that World Finals.
Yeah, I mean, again, you talk about the era of everyone, and this is putting it into practice. Trader Toby in a clan right now with just 2 other members called Believe with the period, and I'm sure that has something to do with this moment right now.
Absolutely. Interesting. I still find it so fascinating that he's deciding to use RG against KK, who's so comfortable with a deck like this. I don't know. Whenever you're in a mirror matchup against someone who really knows that deck well, it can be scary because they definitely know what they're doing. Skarmy, Fisherman, and Mother Witch on the defense here. Wow. I really like that defense. RG does get 2 shots. Let's see how Toby responds to this slight counter push.
And I like that Toby's staying over-aggressive here. We'll see how KK wants to punish him. And yeah, Juicy, just to go back to your point really quick, while we have a moment, Mother Witch going to town on that left-hand tower, pile up on the right, Skellies are there. Fishboy is kind of just lost with his anchor and now finally gets on tower. Juicy, the question, when you're playing Splash Yard, and you go up against someone else with Splash Yard, and let's say you don't know who they are, you don't know how good they are, maybe you know that they're maybe a little bit worse than you with Splash Yard, do you immediately feel good about it, or are you a little bit like, oh man, I hate playing mirror matchup win conditions?
Every single time, I'm like, yes, I got this. Every single time.
Okay, good to know. That bodes very, very well here for KK. Lightning's out in both directions, and I will say it looks like Trainer Toby maybe won that Lightning battle.
Yeah, and, you know, it's interesting to see lightning from both players. I think that KK, he's hurting on that spell a little bit more, the Mother Witch, and, like, just the Mother Witch gets a lot of value here without the Fireball being an option. Defensive lightning and an offensive lightning, RG is getting hit, and, you know, we did see Toby take an early lead there at the start of this match, but KK is really controlling it at the moment.
Yeah, it's really about KK playing very patiently and turning in his defensive bouts into really, really strong counter pushes. But Toby has been playing hyper-aggressive all day long, and it's really been paying off for him. I love to see that aggression out of young players.
Absolutely, and like you said, it is paying off. I feel like part of that could be just surprise factor. I feel like a lot of the time in big tournaments like this, players are playing more passive. They want to make sure that they're not letting anything go to like risk or chance. But you know, KK, just really nice defense. He's dealing well with the pressure, but Trainer Toby is keeping up this damage lead that he had from the start, and it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on to it, because if he does, he is going to win.
And that placement on the Fisherman, basically perfect. Log comes in perfectly timed. That's, again, when you know these interactions of these cards so well, because RG is your comfort. And now we see no Skarmy and Cycle. High Fishboy. Fishboy distracted. Lightning is on the Fisherman. Beautiful one-target Lightning there by KK. KK in the lead. No, 835 to 458 with the Lightning coming in. KK needs to make something happen in these next 40 seconds.
I think KK meant to hit the Hunter with the Lightning there as well. If he would have hit it, he probably would have won the game on the spot. But now Toby's in a situation where he's up a lot of damage and there's only 30 seconds left. KK's doing everything he can to get that RG hit in, but he's not able to get it. And now he has to defend while down Elixir. We'll see if he can do it.
Really love to see KK get one Fisherman block in, because Toby's been playing that Fisherman in the same spot every time. KK has enough time. You see the Hunter cycled at the bridge. RG comes down. You know Lightnings are going to go flying. Is there a log? Is there an E-Spirit? No. KK will not be able to take this game number 1.
Wow.
What a game, man.
The aggression just paid off there in the end. That was insane. The Lightnings were definitely the key part of that match. Once again, KK needed to hit that Lightning on the Fisherman plus Hunter. If he would have done that, he would have won, but Toby capitalizing on that mistake and just barely able to eke out a W against KK in an RG mirror matchup.
And I really think that KK made a few, maybe, it's hard to call them mistakes, but maybe playing just a little bit too passively. He's got to get that log out earlier on the Skarmy, or at least follow up that RG with the E-Spirit to look for it. And then in terms of that Fisherman, Toby never had to innovate where he wanted to place that Fisherman. He was always able to place it up high and pull the RG in. There was a couple times where maybe it was a few tiles deeper, but there was never a moment where KK went to distract the Fish Boy. And I really think that would have been something that could have helped him out. And then, of course, what you're talking about, that missed lightning, you add all that together, and it was only 143 HP difference. I really feel like Toby got away with one.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think you're 100% right. After seeing that first match today with KK using that RG deck, I thought there was no chance that he was going to lose that, but maybe the nerves are getting to him here because, yeah, that was not the same RG gameplay that I saw just a minute ago.
Is this E-Giant at the top of the screen?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I was gonna say probably recruits.
Okay.
It's just weird to see Archer Queen in recruits deck like this. Usually we're seeing like Skeleton King or Golden Knight. Obviously Skeleton King not an option here because of the duels formatting, but a Golden Knight here could be pretty useful. I mean, maybe he was just trying to snipe a certain deck. Maybe he wants to have the Archer Queen for extra like air defense against like potential air-based deck.
Speaking of that Archer Queen, she gets some good value there. Still up in Elixir is Toby, and now we see KK go in with a little bit of support here. I like that. Kind of evens things out a little bit, and this Dark Prince will not get a counter push. Musketeer gets one shot in. That's a very fortunate shot for KK, 24-94 to 2 untouched towers.
I really like the idea from KK there to get that miner down quick in the front to make sure to keep that Musketeer alive, and it does pay off for Musketeer here. But if he would have placed it in the back a little bit sooner, he could have pulled that Dark Prince backward and maybe got even more Musketeer shots.
It's fun being up in the booth and being able to pick apart those small things, isn't it, Juicy?
Yeah.
You're like, it was a good play, but it could have been better if you lived in the future, and I love it, man. I love having you up here. It's a lot of fun. Game number 2, winner of this game, if it's Toby, will be going to World Finals. KK trying to even it up and take it to that ever-important Game 3. A best of 1 for 20K and a World Finals golden ticket. But KK needs to make some magic happen here, and he does have the lead at the moment.
Yeah, Toby's playing this really well. KK is kind of feeding into Toby's Archer Queens. I believe this ability will pop down for a second time. And, KK does have that damage lead, but the Mirror Pigs are going to come in. What does KK have for this?
Snowball Skeleton King? No, he goes Snowball plus Bats, and that's not going to be enough. Those Hogs are going to get a lot of damage. Now the Skeleton King comes down, and I don't know if it wasn't in cycle, but I really think he should have opted for the sure finish as opposed to the cheap finish.
No, it definitely wasn't in cycle, or else he would have done it for sure.
Okay.
I think you're absolutely right.
So Miner to the back this time does create a little bit of space. Skeletons piling up on that left-hand side, so now Toby has to overspend with that cage, and Skeletons still pile up. My goodness, that was the Skeleton King ability of the competition.
That tower's down to 703 from full health. KK almost got like a get-out-of-jail-free card with that Skeleton King ability.
Yeah, that was insane. So much Elixir came down to deal with that Skelly King ability, and it was just never enough. And now KK very happy to go to the left-hand lane. Miner goes to the side. Tank for this Skeleton King and the Skellies. Musketeer needs to be paid attention to, especially with the bats in tow. And that is a great bats to pick up that flying machine. KK is able to even things up. And now, Juicy, you talk about pressure, brother. Game number 3. Here we go.
Yeah, I guess that's just what happens in a matchup where you only have one small spell, or just one spell in general, only one set of arrows, whereas KK has the Skarmy, the bats, and the Skelly King abilities to deal with.
Whew, a best of 1 for a ticket to World Finals, a chance at $1 million cash prize. And you know what? You still walk away with a lot of money if you lose, but you know you want to go to Finland.
Yeah, you gotta be thinking about going to Finland right here. There's no ideas that can be in your head about potentially losing. The stress on the players here has got to be fantastic, and it just makes it whoever wins, it'll make it so the happiness will probably be even stronger, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Zap comes down now, and that was pretty obvious that there wasn't a strong response in terms of the barrel when you saw the fireball come out from Toby to defend. So that's one thing that Toby and KK are going to have to be very, very cognizant of. Maybe guards plus fireball will be the answer for those barrels flying rapidly. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I really like the deck choice from KK here. The Goblin Barrel forcing out these negative elixir trades.
Yeah.
Either got to be fireball or guards slash bats plus a zap to fully counter. On the other end, Toby does have the mortar. He does have the miner. The mortar is notoriously difficult for bait to defend, but the cannon is quite nice at picking that up. And notice that KK also has the ice spirit. Ice spirit actually one of the best counters to the miner, able to place it and then either place like some spear gobs or mighty miner to finish off those miners and prevent that damage that way.
Dark Goblin does not get a shot in there for KK. 26:89 to 24:62. Minute and 17 seconds remaining in the final matchup of our day's regulation period.
Yeah, I really don't see KK losing this. Giant Skeleton in Toby's deck, we see that now. It definitely is not a card that you like to see in this matchup because the Mighty Miner gets so much value versus it, and it kind of just weakens your cycle. It makes your cycle very expensive. Whenever you're in a kind of chip matchup like this, you definitely want to be having a quick cycle. Usually a quicker cycle will have an advantage.
I know it would have been a little bit over-aggressive, but I would have loved to see those guards or something else come down in front of that mortar to protect against the cannon. KK hadn't had to deal with the cannon defense yet, and usually when you play against this bait deck, the first time that you place a mortar, the immediate response is the cannon, and then they start to innovate based off of how you decide to respond. So maybe a missed opportunity there. It is definitely a bit of a reach, but that would have been nice to see Toby at least turn the tide a little bit. And now you can see KK going, all right, you want to go left, I'll go right. 1927 to 2366. Nice miner on miner catch.
Yeah, and we're just seeing the differences in the players' mindsets here. Trainer Toby missing his predictions. KK is making some nice predictions, catching these miners. A mighty miner ability would be really nice here. Might
Nice
take
call
out that
there.
entire giant skeleton on this right-hand side. A zap does come down to prevent it, though.
Dark Goblin does just enough to take out that Musketeer cannon in response for that Mortar Miner. Going to go to the Dark Goblin. Yes, it does. Able to take the Dark Goblin off the board. Giant Skeleton needs a little bit of attention. There it is.
Yeah, but now the bats are coming in without an Ice Spirit cycle. That could do a decent amount of damage. He's forced to go with a Mighty Miner here. And once again, Toby missing the prediction on these guards, not able to catch the barrel. And now the barrel comes down with the Mighty Miner tanking. Fireball forced to come out. Really nice Mighty Miner ability as well, because it does force another response to his left-hand side. Giant Skeleton has to come down. That's a very expensive counter there. And yeah, KK's just applying the pressure. He's doing what he needs to do and never giving Toby a really good chance to attack here.
Yeah, KK doing a great job, opting to take one shot on that right-hand side to make sure he had more than enough elixir on the left. We'll see. No ability should be popped there on the left. Good job. Goes for damage on the right with the barrel. That mortar just not able to do what Trainer Toby needs it to, and this is where you can kind of feel it happening. KK is wearing down Toby. He's wearing down his confidence, and here we are. 42 seconds remain. 247 HP remains. Is there a rocket in hand here for KK as he's spending an arm and a leg to defend? And this could be a moment. Trainer Toby might be able to turn this game around. KK does not have a big spell.
No way. My Miner ability did not pop, but he is able to defend somehow.
Needs the rocket. There it is.
Rocket.
Oh my goodness. Rocket to the inside, and KK is going to World Finals. Trainer Toby given respect where respect is owed, but that last bit of pressure from Trainer Toby was phenomenal.